Hello and welcome to Quays News. I'm Olivia Evans.
And I'm Natalie Durkin. Here's what's on the programme today.
A Salford woman diagnosed with MND talks exclusively to Quays News about how it's impacted her life.
Obviously, my mobility is the biggest.
Reach for the skies, the mental health group parachuting to raise money.
And how the discipline of the squared circle is getting kids away from crime and into boxing.
Motor neurone disease has been in the headlines thanks to the amazing fundraising efforts of former rugby player Kevin Sinfield.
His gruelling challenges for best mate Rob Burrow have raised the profile of those with MND, but it's a disease more rare in women than men.
One of those women is Salford mum Anna Barrow. Anna was diagnosed with MND 6 months ago. Emma Nelson has been speaking with her.
Anna Barrow's family and friends have come together to fundraise. Anna lives with her family in Salford. She was diagnosed with MND at just 38 years old, after spending years being told by doctors symptoms were down to a botched COVID jab.
Lots of little things that maybe we hadn't noticed. So they asked questions like about the left-hand side of my face, saying that there was a delay in my blink and that maybe my mouth was a little bit dropped. So that I had lots of tests to rule out things like stroke, and then had to stay in hospital for 2 weeks while they kind of finished all the tests to determine that it was MND.
MND is a condition which has no cure. It affects the brain and nerves, causing weakness that gets worse over time. Anna says that telling family and friends was one of the hardest things she's ever had to do.
I mean, to be honest, I chickened out of telling people, if I'm honest, because even now I get quite emotional talking about it, and it's just, I don't know, it's not that I don't want to, because I do. It just triggers this reaction in me. Obviously, my mobility is the biggest. Because that means changes to how independent I am and changes to the house. For me, the biggest thing was giving up work.
There is a 1 in 300 chance of getting MND across a lifetime, with mainly occurring to males aged between 50 and 70, but it can happen to anyone.
Her family and friends have been fundraising for the family, holding many events such as walks, runs, and a raffle night at the Royal Oak pub in Boothstown.
Time's running out for her. It's called the 1,000-day illness, because from prognosis to the end, you only have 1,000 days.
MND kills a third people within a year, and more than half within 2 years of diagnosis. But Anna knows her family and friends will be supporting her. Emma Nelson, Quays News.
Violent crime in Greater Manchester is always a concern for those who live here, but most stats say it's on the decrease.
That's thanks to groups like Collyhurst and Moston Boxing Club. They're aiming to tackle knife and gun crime through their boxing programmes. Hannah Frew reports.
Tommy McDonough, light middleweight champion, former amateur and professional coach, is widely recognised as a community ambassador for Collyhurst and Moston Boxing Club.
I've been here since I've been 8 years of age. I boxed for the club as an amateur, I boxed for the club as a professional, and now I teach boxing to all the young kids from Moston.
Established in 1917, this amateur boxing club in Manchester has provided a safe space for over 100 years to help create a positive identity for local young people.
I think boxing has helped decrease crime in communities. We like to get our kids in, get them trained, get them focused, send them home so they're going home and tired and where they don't want to be out on the streets getting up to mischief.
The boxing club, located in an area of low IMD and high deprivation, was converted into a charity back in 2020. The club now receives funding from Children in Need to help young people who are likely to be exposed to or at risk of engagement of negative behaviours.
When I'm not boxing and I stop boxing, I end up just doing other things and just like getting in trouble and that, and just not doing anything productive. Whereas boxing, it's more of it's more something where you have to put all your effort and you have to concentrate, or you're not going to be what you want.
It is also here where active fighters Zelfa Barrett and Lyndon Arthur started out their boxing journey, and the hope is that they will inspire others to follow their footsteps. Poverty, inequality and the lack of youth services are some of the reasons why young people commit crimes. However, from the help of Tommy in this boxing club in Manchester, he hopes to help kids achieve their goals through tough discipline and his boxing programmes. Hannah Frew, Manchester.
The last building of Salford's indoor market has now been demolished.
It leaves an empty space as locals have spoken up in statements about their feelings on the destruction. Our reporter Tina Perusa was there earlier.
Thanks guys. So right behind me are the final ruins of Salford Indoor Market, which has been here since the 1980s. The market held much loved stores where people came every day to set up their businesses and their daily lives selling basics such as meat and bread. But as the cost of living crisis took over, people turned to the supermarkets where the prices were cheap and more affordable than market prices. This forced the council to shut down the market as business wasn't flowing properly. The Flatiron pub was the first building to go in 2012, followed by the rest of them. This space now is designed to become more car park space to extend Salford Shopping City. Residents have got in touch and described the situation as a goodbye to another piece of history. Another statement has said, "It is so sad to see what it's become now. Will we be seeing more of this destruction in Salford or even around Greater Manchester?"
Over the past 3 years, Salford has had the second highest mental health issues recorded in Greater Manchester.
But one mental health group in Manchester hope their charity skydiving event will help raise funds to support people with their struggles. Paul Coleman has more.
Despite the increased exposure of mental health over the past few years, suicide is still a problem, with over 5,000 suicides registered in England and Wales in 2021, equivalent to 10.7 deaths per 100,000 people. The Duchy Project, named after Mark Holland, who tragically took his own life, aims to support those struggling with their mental health and other problems.
It was 22 years ago, just in September, that he killed himself. And we basically done a 40th birthday party for him. And 150 people still turned up for that party because he meant so much to the people that turned up.
How important do you think it is for people to meet up in person with each other and talk about these issues?
Most people are happy just to have somebody to talk to and just to vent and get things off the chest, and it seems to, put them on the right path anyway.
Mark and his co-founders have set up a number of events to raise money for the charity, one of which is a skydiving event at the Black Knights Parachute Centre in Lancaster. Coming in at a whopping 15,000 feet, it is the highest jump in the UK.
Well, following up from the interview with Mr. Sempi, we are out here in Blackpool. It's an early morning. We're here for the charity skydive, and obviously it's great for mental health to be able to do social events such as this. And hopefully we're going to see some fun skydiving action.
It had only just turned 8 o'clock on this freezing cold Sunday morning in Lancaster, but it was time for the brave parachuters to take flight. Despite how scary it may appear in video, the skydive seemed to be good fun for all those involved.
Michael, nice to see you again.
Hello, mate.
You just jumped out of a plane. How does that feel?
It was the best thing I've ever done in my life. It's the highest one in the UK, 15,000 feet.
Wow.
You free fall for about a minute, then you've got about 5-6 minutes under the parachute. You're doing some twists and turns and all sorts.
Obviously, we saw you before, you looked pretty excited, but does that change when you get up there? Do you get nerves?
No. To be honest, I've been excited to do it. I've always wanted to do one, so... it's probably a little bit of adrenaline kicking in as you're about to throw yourself out at that height. But no, I've really thoroughly enjoyed it, start to finish.
With a great turnout and over £5,000 raised for the charity, the skydiving event has been a huge success. And hopefully with this money, the Duchy Project will be able to support those in the Manchester community. Paul Coleman, Quays News, Manchester.
That's all we have time for today.
You've been watching Quays News at 4.
We will see you next time.